Hi everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This has been on my heart, and I've already moved on from this topic, so I just wanted to share it because I didn't get to make a video about this. And as many know, whoever has been following my videos, I recently bought a shofar, an Israeli kosher shofar. And since I've been using it, I wanted to learn, what is the biblical application of the shofar, and am I using it correctly? What are the purposes of the shofar, and who is supposed to be using it? So in my studies, I found something very interesting, and this is actually within the details of the study. This is actually something. This topic is where the King James translation actually fails. And no, I'm not a King James Nazi. I don't hold the King James translation on a pedestal, but I am using the King James. I'm comfortable with it. I don't believe there are any perfect English translations, but I find it to be a loyal and sound translation. So with that said, anyway, so when you do a Bible study on the shofar, you'll find that the King James translation fails on this subject. And the reason is that there's a difference throughout the Bible, New Testament and Old Testament, between ram's horns, shofars, and trumpets, specifically silver trumpets. And unfortunately, in the King James and many other English translations, the English word trumpets is just liberally used for both. And so what is the difference between an actual silver trumpet and a ram's horn or a shofar? From my understanding, the actual use of them, the reasons for using them are not that much different, but it's a matter of who is using them. The silver trumpets are used for the high priest. Only the high priest can actually use a silver trumpet. And the common folk are the ones that use the shofars. And if you want to check your translations, a good litmus test is Numbers chapter 10, which mentions the high priest making a silver trumpet, and Numbers verse 1 or verse 2, right in the beginning of the chapter, and Numbers 29, verse 1, which is a provocation to blow the trumpets, as the King James says, but it's really referring to the ram's horn. Ram's horn, even in the King James, is found in the story of Joshua and stuff like that, but in particular cases, yes, the King James fails here because it should at least say horns instead of trumpets, because there's a difference between the horns and the trumpets. Ironically, I do have a JPS translation at hand, and checking the JPS translation, which is generally very similar to the King James, but the JPS does not fail in this. There is a difference. They do depict the difference between trumpets and ram's horns in the JPS, when the King James does not in certain instances. So I just wanted to mention that. It's just something really interesting. And to conclude, trumpets, of course, are mentioned in the New Testament, usually as God's judgment. I think specifically the angels, like in Revelation and stuff, are the ones blowing the trumpets. So I don't, and it's prophesied, the Lord comes in a shout, the shout of the trumpet. I don't think that is in reference to the shofar. I think that is in reference to an actual trumpet, because it's either blown by a high priest or an angel, somebody who is above the standard human in stature. So that's interesting, and it's also saying, the ram's horn, a shofar blowing is like a warning, a war cry, calling of brethren, etc., etc., etc. But the blowing of the trumpet in the New Testament is like it's happening right now. Like there's no warning, it's happening now. So that's also a difference. So just an interesting study that I found. I thought I'd share. Um, yeah. Thank you for tuning in, and God bless. And always pray about this stuff. Test it yourself. But I just wanted to share this stuff. And while I'm on the topic, I do highly recommend getting a shofar. Um, it has blessed me immensely and brought me closer to the Lord. Um, I have found in many instances, really spending time blowing it, it has broken the witchcraft. It confuses the devil. It breaks the strongholds of heaviness, depression, stuff like that. All the witchcraft against you, it breaks it. Spend some time blowing that thing, you know. And it is powerful. And the Lord has called me to use it. Especially at Planned Parenthood. When I'm outside of Planned Parenthood, I do it every time. At least when I first get there or whatever. And it's a war cry. And it's not, again, it's a war cry to the powers and principalities that are not in the flesh that are there. It's a war cry to the strongholds of Baal, breaking them, claiming Jesus' blood on the land, I guess. And all shofars are different, and I'm very happy with mine. It literally sounds like a cry out to God. It literally sounds like a desperate cry. And when I have used it in Planned Parenthood, spiritual warfare, and it does make non-believers, like, they know it's holy, and they know it's, it's not nerve-wracking, but it's just like, it gets your attention, like, this is serious. Or, the blood cries out from the ground. It really gets that point across. Yeah, it's a powerful tool. And that really brings us back to our roots, which we are called to do. Go back to the ancient ways. So I highly recommend getting a shofar. And, of course, probably a kosher Israeli one. I don't know. I got an all-natural ram's horn, so the one I got is probably very similar, or the closest we could get to what the original Israelites probably used in the Bible. I did study how shofars are made. I watched some videos and stuff, and shofar, they heat them up and they can bend them in certain ways, but the one I purchased was an all-natural ram's horn. I just wanted one as close to the biblical application as possible. So I guess an all-natural ram's horn would be the one to get if you want to get what the original Israelites used. So, yeah, God bless, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope this blesses you. Peace out.